not a fan.
Or I'm not a huge fan.
Yeah, so the word big or huge really softens this. Because if I say I'm not a fan, it's not super direct, but it's still a little bit direct. So we can use those other ways that we used before. I'm not really a fan. I'm not really a big fan.
对，其实这里的粉丝不一定就不限于和 celebrities 明星 idol 那种，很多的东西，比如人家 Adam，你喜欢意大利菜吗
You know, I'm not really the world's biggest fan.
对，就意思我没有那么喜欢。
But yeah, you know, sure, whatever, if that's what you have.
所以这个和前面 not crazy about it 都一样，就好像有点 room for.
There's room, yeah.
对。
Yeah, hopefully the other person would say, oh, well then let's have Thai food instead.
Do you like meat? 喜欢肉吗
？Oh, so I'm not really a big fan. I'm not crazy about it.
但是你给我留空间。I'm not a fan at all.
Well, that's different because for me that's a taboo. So there is no room for wiggling.
但是你不吃肉呀，你不是素食主义者吗？
Right, but that's because I am that vegetarian. I don't need to say.
Right. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. 早上好。You haven't missed anything. That's just a video, you know. This is well, you can find it on your podcast. It's called 编辑 Jenny 告诉你. Basically, this is originally, well, can hear me, first of all. Type 1 if you can. Okay. There's no problem with my screen sharing as well, right? Good, great. Right, this program is on the podcast. I think you all know what the podcast is. It's an online radio station. And this program is called 编辑 Jenny 告诉你. Basically, it is designed for Chinese people to learn English, right? Well, you don't have the context because nobody speaks, you don't have the English environment in China. There are tons of those kind of programs for free that you can find. However, we don't have that kind of thing for the Chinese learners. But I do believe this can work reversely, you know. It's the same thing that they're explaining how to say English for the certain Chinese expression, but while you're listening to it, you learned how to say that English expression in Chinese. And because Jenny is a native Chinese speaker and Penji is a American, so they talk half Chinese, half English. So this is a good starting point for you to build up your vocabulary and build your own context. That's which is very important in language learning. Right. I hope you find it interesting. Okay, we come back to our today's our task. Unfortunately, we will continue to study. We continue to study certain pinyin syllables. Before we do that, let's do some recap for past week. Let's read those together. 读 read out. 读 第二 the second. You may recognize 二 meaning two, right? 课 lessons. 所学 the land. 声母 initials. 韵母 finals 和 and. 读第二课所学声母和韵母. Let's read them together. Repeat after me. Make sure you do read them out loud. Ready? 知 吃 诗 日 资 次 思 蛙 窝 歪 微 弯 温 汪 翁 Second time. 知吃诗日滋呲丝蛙窝歪微弯温汪翁 We continue. 读下面的音节 we learn the 读 mean to read 下 below 下面 list below 音节 syllables right? 我知翁中思安三思微催辞吃上 again 我中三催辞吃上 Okay. Make sure you do read them out with me. 早吃茶热吃草滋爱在思安三知失屋书 Again. 早 You have to say them out loud. 茶热草在三知书 We'll continue. 读下面的词语 We learn 的读下面 list below 的 apostrophe s 词语 vocabularies and expressions. 中国长城吃饭看书知道这个日本 Again. 中国长城吃饭看书知道这个日本上课三个人人大老师生词汉字汉语上课三个人人大老师生词汉字汉语 Okay. That should reverberate your memory a little bit. If you still don't remember those, I recommend you to go to do the practice and watch all the recordings from lesson 2. Right. And today we're going to study lesson 3. Lesson 3 is very simple and easy. It has only a few pinyin. We are going to finish all the pinyin. Congratulations. And it has a very short expressions. 你叫什么名字 with this fixed expression in Chinese. What is your name? So with the very title it suggests we're going to learn another question pronoun, right? 什么 What? 什么 名字 we're going to look at the convention of the Chinese name and surnames. 叫 is called or to call. We're going to discuss that later. I hope you still remember 你是哪国人 and how to answer that, right? Just refresh your memory. When I ask 你是哪国人 what should you answer? 我是 South African, 南非 people 人，我是法国人 French people. Right? At least you should learn that in lesson 2. Remember that part. Lesson 3, still very simple and easy. Let's look at the initials and finals of lesson 3 first. There are only 3 initials which are pronounced the ji, qi, and xi. Quite a few finals, but don't terrify yourself by those numbers because they are basically the spelling up together with those 5 basic finals, right? And just listen to the recordings of how those pronounced together for the first time. Let's just listen.
语音知识
1声母3鸡七西
Again.
1声母3鸡七西1声母3鸡七西
Let's read them together. 鸡鸡鸡 As I said, same as other things, or most of the pinyin, how they're pronounced. You could easily think it is spelling together with e, right? Our, yu, those 6 finals of Chinese, you can think they are just something spelling together with e. Ji, qi, xi. Again, ji, qi, xi. Well, as far as you know, you shouldn't have a problem with those 3, because from my experience, you all can pronounce them correct. Something a little bit tricky is for those 韵母 part, for those final part. It's tricky not in the sense it's difficult to pronounce. It is in the sense as they are different vowels spelling together, and you're probably not used to the vowel spelling together from your mother language. And let's listen to that together.
2韵母3鸭耶腰悠焉央拥约渊晕
Okay. Again.
鸭耶腰悠焉央拥约渊晕
Okay. If you do remember those o, i, u, yu, I'm going to use this to instead of to put those two dots on the U because my keyboard cannot do that. And if you do remember those different vowels, and these first line and the second are just spelling them out together. If we do that in the slow-mo, ya is ya, ya. Right, you get it? You just say them together, but in a quick way. Ya, 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 ye, ye, yo, 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 yan, yen, yang, yang, yong, yong. If you still cannot understand, think it as this sound in your English, right? Ya, ye, yo, yo, yen, yang, yong. There's a question. I don't get the difference between the ji. Okay, let's just look at this. Zhi, chi, shi. How does this pronounce? This is qi and this is chi. Chi and qi. Chi and qi. Can you hear the difference? Zhi, chi, shi, ji, qi, xi. Actually, there's a part for ji, qi, xi, zhi, chi, shi. The point is, can you hear the difference when I pronounce that? If you can't hear the difference, that's a problem. Qi, chi, qi, and chi. Can you hear the difference? Type 1 if you can. 2 if you can't. Okay. Okay. Because there are certain people cannot hear the difference and it's not their fault. Mr. Sakin, can you hear the difference? Qi and chi. Qi and chi. But no, there's no E at the end of all those things. Okay, I'm putting a E here, I in your English term. It's easy for you to understand how they are sound like. They have their own sound system. You don't think it in the system of the English alphabet. It's not that. I put it there just for you to understand how they pronounce their name is. What's the name of those pinyin? Those are not alphabet. Those are called pinyin, right? Itself, when we write them by themselves, it should be pronounced as ji, qi, xi, as those are the note and the values assigned to those by regulations. There's no reason. It's just called that. Regulated by the Ministry of Education of the People's Republic of China. It's just called that. But as for your easy understanding, you can think it as spelling out with G with E together and Qi together and Xi together. But when you write the pinyin syllables, you write the pinyin letter, you shouldn't write them out because it means a different thing. Okay. Same thing for the 知吃诗, there's no E at the end. They themselves pronounced as they have the E at the end for your understanding only, not because they originally like that. Okay. And this thing is, if you don't get it right well, you never get it right in one night, don't worry. Right, where are we? Okay, let's listen the second times for the finals of today.
呀、耶、邀、优、言、央、用、约、愿、晕。
I'll just explain this one more time. Pinyin is a phonetic system of Chinese language. It never existed before the 1949, actually before the 1952. It never existed in the history, in the entire history of 5,000 years of China. Right? Those systems were borrowed from the Latin system of language, mainly the Western European languages, used to describe the pronunciation of the modern simplified Chinese. It has nothing to do with the language itself. Why we have to learn the pinyin before we learn the others? Because once we know the pinyin, when you check the dictionary, when you see some new words, and you don't know how to pronounce it, you don't need to come to look at somebody to teach you. You can just check the dictionary, because there will be a pinyin written on each character, and by looking at the pinyin itself, you should know how they are pronounced. Okay? And because they are borrowed from the Western languages, alphabeticals, so they may not be able to 100% represent how the original sound of the Chinese language should be, but 99.9-ish. And those things in the bracket are their values or their notes, or what you want to call their authentic sound, that how you should pronounce it in the international phonetic alphabetic, right? 国际音标 system. International alphabet, phonetic alphabet, the 国际音标 system. And within this 国际音标 system, it gives a name and a sign on how each sound are pronounced, right? Written in this way, and assigned this value to the pinyin by the Chinese government. As I said, we don't need to learn this international alphabet, phonetic alphabet, because unless you're going to study the linguistic as your major, it makes no sense for you to do so. What you need to remember is when you look at a pinyin, how they are pronounced. And there's no reason behind that. It is just regulated as it. Okay. Now let's try to practice those finals. As I said, think it as a slow-mo way. Ya, ya, ye, ye, yo, 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 yo. And yo is normally written in yi-u form, right? The wu in between is normally omitted. Yan, yen, yang. Remember the nasal sound? Yang, yong, yung. If you remember a, o, yan, an, yung, those just spell them together with yi. If you still don't know how to pronounce this E and your mother tongue is English, think about it, you spell them together. Yeah. Right? Same thing for those three. Yu, if you remember ü, a, w, e, i, u, ü, right? With those two dots, ü, yue, yuan, 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 yun. Actually, the complete form for the last one, if you do remember, this should have the en, but written in short, that is n only. Okay. Let's listen to this recording, and we will read them together.
3鸭
鸭
耶
耶
腰
腰
优
优
烟
烟
央
央
庸
庸
约
约
渊
渊
晕
晕. Same thing for the last part. If it's still confusing you, you can think it, you put a Y in front and spell them together. Ya, repeat after me. Let's say them out loud together. Ya, ye, yo, yo, yan, yang, yong, yue, yuan, yun. Okay. Now, let's look at the combination between initial and final slides number 3, our favorite part. We need to remember this is called ji, and this is qi, and this is xi. So when they spell together with all the finals of today, you will see, for example, ji is as same as ji, qi is as same as qi, xi is as same as the pronunciation of xi, the name of the very letter. Right? That's why I said if you can't remember, well, try to think in this way. But this G itself is one pinyin alphabet. And this is a pinyin syllable. That's different. G, G. Let's read them together. Repeat after me. Make sure you do read them out loud. G, R. Yes, you're right. Jia. Jie. Jie. Trust your instincts, that's correct. Jiao. Jiao. Jiu. Jiu. Jian. Jian. Jiyin. Jin. Jiang. Jiang. Jiying. Jing. Jiong. Jung. Right again. Ji, jia, jie, jiao, jiu, jian, jing, jiang, jing, jung. Right, for those last 3, the nasal sound is the only difference between the previous one. Qi, qi, qia, qia, qie. Correct. Qie, qiao, qiao, qiu, qiu, qian, qian, qiyin, qin, qiang, qiang, qiying, qing, qiong, qiong. Again, qi, qia, qie, qiao, qiu, qian, 亲枪轻穷西啊 Let's use this one. 虾歇 This is where your 谢谢 come from, right? Thank you. 西欧消西优修西安先西音新西洋香西英兴西庸凶 Again, 西 make sure you do read them out loud no matter where you are. Okay, I don't care if you are in the computer lab or in the any other public places. Just please. 西虾 if you don't read them out, they mean nothing. Okay, the more difference you could hear depends on how accurate you can pronounce. Right? 西虾歇消修先新香兴凶 Right. And I have to emphasize again, 1 hour a day for Chinese is not enough. You should spend another hour or 2 to practice those things, because all in all, we're going to only take 7 weeks to learn all the Chinese pinyin systems, which takes 3 to 4 years for normal Chinese to do this when they were in elementary school. But yes, of course, those children are not as intelligent as you are. That's why we speed them out. But it's still a roundabout that practice makes perfect. Right? You need time to do this. And now let's read from the top to down. First time, I just want you to listen to I read. For the very same finals, when we change the initials, they sound entirely different. Okay. 鸡七西加掐虾接切歇交敲消揪秋修尖牵先金亲心将枪香精清兴中穷凶 Right, I see the question. Does xiu rhyme with toe in English? Sorry, I don't know which that English word. Right, let's read them together. For the last time with the semi-normal Chinese speed, repeat after me. We go this direction. 鸡家接交纠尖金江京中七掐切敲秋千清腔清穷西虾歇消修仙馨香心胸 Right? And I think I have to clear another concept that there's an accent and pronunciation. You have a different accent, it doesn't matter, right? As long as you pronounce them correct. For example, we could all understand the British people and American people talk, and they could understand to each other. They have the different accents, that is the flavor of the tones. So don't be so fascinated on I should get this modern standard Chinese accent correct with where the Beijing people try to speak. You don't need to do this. Language is for communication on the first level. As long as you don't say that wrong, I mean, use the wrong pronunciation with the pinyin, what accent you are, you sound as a foreigner. That's not a matter. Okay. Because you is you. You is, yes, you is as same as you. Would you say that recapping the lecture and practicing the pronunciation from lectures would be the good form of practice? That takes you too much of time and energy to listen to my 1 hour a day thing. The easiest way is, you see, those soundtracks are already uploaded onto Zenlin. If you go to our textbook, there's a disk symbol with the number of those soundtracks. You just download those soundtrack and play that, and repeat after that, and you can do this by yourself, and you can do this to your own good. A very good practice is, you probably think that you pronounce them correct. Why don't you record yourself and listen to yourself after some of your exercise? Then you will see, compare your own recordings to the recordings of the textbook, then you will see the difference. And by continuously doing so, you will get it right sooner or later. Could you please repeat how you is pronounced? It's not a u, first of all. It's not a eu. It is eu, right? Eu, in this short way, eu is not eu. It is o, and thus make it a eu sound. U and U sound the same because this EU has those 2 dots omitted. Okay, and that's some kind of a tone sandy that we will discover later together. Pleasure. 不客气. Let's come back to our combinations. Same thing here, right?
No. Juan.
That's correct. That's correct. Very good. Okay. I don't know who pronounced it, but that's the correct way to do so. Please continue. And let's look at this thing. Okay. This is what I'm just going to touch. You say 预约, there should be 基于居, but it's written in a 基于 form, right? So the general rules is, when 预约 yuan yun are spelled together with others, those two dot are commonly omitted, right? Because, well, but for some specific reason, the specific situation, they will still exist, but that we will see later. However, as long as today, you can, as far as today is concerned, when yu, yue, yuan, yun spelled together with the ji, qi, xi, you don't need to write those 2 dots out. If you want to write it out, there's always no problem. Okay. Let's read them together. Ju, jue, juan, jun. Again. Ju, jue, juan, jun. Same thing, as you can guess. Qu, que, quan, chun. Again. Qu, que, quan, chun. Xu, xue, xue. Like in 谢谢, xuan, xun. Ju, chu, xu, jue, que, xue, juan, 圈、宣、君、群、勋 and they themselves read out as 鸡、七、西 okay. Now we practice them together with full tones. G, R. Repeat after me. G, R. The first tone should be Jia. The second tone, Jia, Jia, with the rising trend. Third tone, Jia, Jia. Fourth tone, Jia, Jia. Right? So that should be Jia, 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 Jia. Same principles. Jiao, 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 Jiu, 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 Jian, 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 Jian. Read, please. Trust yourself. You are nine out of 10 times correct. Jin, 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 Jin. Jing, 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 Jing. How this should pronounced? Xi and Ying, Xing. Right? Xi and Ying, Xing, 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 Xing. Qi, 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 qi. Xie, 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 xie. Qian, 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 qian. Qu, 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 qu. Xue, 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 xue. See those questions. How would you then know which u or yu is being used in word if the dots are taken away? Because there's a difference in how they are pronounced. Yes, and you will know this by practice because you can't pronounce them out. For example, I'll give you an example. Why I'm 100% certain this is 知乌猪, not 知鱼. Because you can't spell them together. 知鱼, you could just can't. 知鱼. Well, I can't. This is very natural way that you know. That's why people are being lazy, because they tend to take the two dots out, because when they are existing with a certain initial, they can only be pronounced in the certain way. However, as I said, if you want to make it certain, you can always write those two dots. I know this for certain 知乌猪 or 吃乌出 or 得乌都, because it's just that, for example, 追 it's just does not exist. Okay. Let's not worry that too much. For today, I just need you to remember when 机器西 meet 预约圆云, those two dots can be omitted. Okay. We continue. Okay, this is, you should know how to read them. and how to write them. All right. Anyone wants to try how to read them, please? Just unmute yourself. We learned this together, and it's in your weekly practice, character practice sheet and twice. Go ahead.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
Thank you. Very good. Perfect. That's why I said, don't worry too much about your accent. Yes, you sound not as a Chinese, but that's not a problem as long as your pronunciation are correct. Those are two different things. Very good. Let's try to read them together, and let's try to read them together. Right? 1, 2. I hope you still remember how to write them. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 0. Right. Now let's do this practice together. I'll give you 2 minutes to think how those should be pronounced, and we'll learn them together. Go ahead. Try to spell them yourself. Okay, that should be easy. Anyone wants to read the first column?
Yes.
Just unmute yourself, you can continue.
瑜伽，腰身要今天在看京西 Beijing.
Very good. I understand 100%. You are 100% right. Let's read them. Let's try to read them together. 回家，回家，叫什么？叫什么？今天。今天，再见，再见 means goodbye。星期，北京，这是北京。The second one, anyone wants to try? Can we have a gentleman, please?
I'll give it a try.
Go ahead.
水系汉语写字谢谢休息下课上课
Very good. Very good. If both of you haven't learned Chinese before, I think you are so talented in Chinese language learning. Let's try to read them together. 学习汉语，学习汉语，写字，写字，谢谢，谢谢，休息，休息，下课。下课 means class over, class finished. 上课，上课 means class begin. 上课。Okay, so now we are 下课 and I'll see you tomorrow. 再见. Thank you for joining me today. Bye bye.
再见，谢谢，
再见，谢谢，
谢谢。
拜拜。再见，拜拜。